Welcome back. Last time we were talking about integration. I want to talk more about integration and give you a warning about stone samadhi. It does happen to a few yogis every once in a while, so it's good to be aware of this problem and keep it in mind when you're going into a very deep state. And this really applies to integration. It's going to be very, very interesting. So let's get into it. So this is a really interesting story. I think it's going to bring together some things that I've been talking about on this channel very interestingly. So I was doing these YouTube videos and a wonderful soul called me up and talked to me about spirituality and what he was interested in. And he was actually very interested in Ketchery. And that's one of the reasons he wanted to talk with me. And he actually went to India and he went from guru to guru to guru, looking for somebody that could really show him the path of Ketchery. He found a lot of teachers that said that they knew, but didn't actually know. And then he found some teachers that maybe they knew, but they weren't willing to talk to him about it. And then finally he found one guru who knew what he was talking about and was willing to help him and explain. So he found the perfect match for himself. And it was a beautiful story. He told me that his guru was so natural and so unassuming that it was very strange for him because he was used to, a constant pronouns, a constant reverent attitude all the time. That's what he was used to. And this soul was very, very natural. And when he said that, the lights went off in my head. I said, "Oh, this one's really good." I said, that's a sign that he really knows what he's talking about because he's so comfortable inside of himself, right? His name is Yotish, and I don't have a picture of him, unfortunately. Maybe I'll be able to share that in the near future. But I do have a picture of his guru, his Param guru. Here he is seated in the lotus meditating. And this lineage, they do some breath work, but the majority of the work, and especially the work that my friend was interested in, all has to do with the path of Ketchery. So Kriya has integrated breath and Ketchery. In this system, it's primarily Ketchery. So it was very interesting to see Ketchery through the eyes of another whole lineage where they actually knew what they were talking about. So on this channel, you've heard me mention over and over again this idea of killing the ego, of killing yourself. It's not a good idea. And this is one more reason why it's not good to hold these ideas inside of yourself. There is a transition. You're coming out of the left brain and into the right brain. And when that happens, the words die. And so when you're attached to the words and you're attached to your form, then it will feel a little bit peculiar. But you'll notice when you get over into the right brain, you still have your awareness. So the you, the true you, is still there. Your consciousness, it's still there. You've just been through a transition. So this idea that you're going to die or the ego is going to die, it's not a healthy idea, and you're going to see it today. So Yotish gave my friend this beautiful warning. He said, when you're going very deep, do not lose your sense of yourself at first. Do not lose the sense of yourself. Because if you do, you can enter into stone samadhi. And so what will happen is the yogi will go into a state where the breath rate is very low and they're in the freeze response and they are exhibiting symptoms of absorption, but they have no consciousness of it. They have lost the conscious mind completely. It's gone. And they're in a sleep state. It's not a normal sleep state. It's like a super sleep state. So they can be sitting there in a lotus posture, not falling over, but they're asleep. And what Yotish told my friend is, in this state, you get no benefit from the samadhi. The whole point of the yogic exercise was to go into samadhi and get the psychological and the psychophysiological benefits of the samadhi. So you go into samadhi over and over again, and it reformats your brain. It reformats who and what you think you are and what you think this external universe is. You start to reformat all of that and recalculate all of that, what you think it really is all about. It's a very beautiful natural process that happens because of samadhi. And when you go into stone samadhi and you lose consciousness of yourself, you lose all that benefit. You see? This idea of killing the ego is not good. So I was talking with a wonderful student of mine, and we were going back and forth remembering this story about stone samadhi. And this student of mine is going into samadhi. And so we're trying to figure out what's going on with this, what's happening. And the conclusion that we came to is, let's look at this through brain waves. So here's the beta brainwave, and we want to awaken the subconscious material. And so when all of this subconscious material, the alpha, the theta, the delta, when these brainwaves come online, the yogi will enter into a very deep trance state. He will feel a little bit sleepy. And that sleepy state, that slower brainwave where everything is slowing down into the alpha, theta, delta, becomes more and more at home with the yogi. But he has to be more and more at home with himself because he's going to see all of his hidden subconscious material. That's why it's so important to be at home with ourselves, to be comfortable with ourselves, to be okay with ourselves, because the subconscious material is going to come up. We're going to become aware of it as we go into these slower and slower brain waves. And it's nobody's perfect. Nobody's supposed to be perfect. Look at the lives of the saints. They're not perfect. They have their flaws. They have their foibles. And that's what makes it so beautiful, that they went so deep and yet they were not perfect. And if you look at somebody and their life has been whitewashed, everybody loves to whitewash the life of Christ. How can you learn from him now? Well, he's completely perfect. How can you ever learn from him if you think he's an absolute perfect example? Well, it's no longer example for you, is it? Because you're human. So if you look at a saint and you say, oh my God, he's way, way up here above me and I can't learn anything from him. Well, what's the point? Now you're just in a state of worship and you're not actually allowing that to integrate with your own life. But if you look at a saint and you say, this man is great, I love him, but he's not perfect. Now you can actually assimilate what it is that he did to create change inside of him. As these slower brainwaves come online, if the yogi is shying away from that subconscious material to a deep extent, to the point that they're running away from it, then it may be that they are shutting off the beta brainwaves. So they come in contact with that subconscious material, they start to slow down, they slow down, they slow down, and then whoop, up comes the subconscious material, and they're not ready for it. They're not at home with themselves, and so they pull away from it. And where do they go? They go into a sleep state. And so the beta brainwave winks out, and it's gone. And now you do not have the conscious mind there to experience the deep state of the freeze and the tranquil breath and the absorption that's taking place. Now you're in a super sleep state, and you will get many physical benefits, but no psychological benefits to the psyche, no transformative, angelic transformation of the brain and the personality. So how do you fix this? Well, first of all, try not to mix up your meditations with sleep. I never use meditation techniques to help me fall asleep. I never do that because it sets up a bad habit that meditation is for sleep. And you don't want that habit. So that's a kind warning to you. I don't mix those up, and because I'm afraid of creating a bad habit. So never mix up sleep and meditation. That's one way to help yourself avoid this problem. Be okay with yourself. Be at home with yourself. When your subconscious material pops up and it's ugly and it's, and it's icky, whatever it is, that's okay. You are in good company. Please trust me. You are in such good company. All right? And if you are losing consciousness and going into this super sleep state, the stone samadhi, then backtrack and make your meditation very conscious, very awake. Move your fingers as you count how many breaths you're doing. Make yourself very aware, and then slowly assimilate your subconscious material. Be okay and at home with yourself as you get into those slower brain waves. Get into the beta, then the alpha. So you have beta and alpha brainwave. That means being a little bit sleepy. Be okay with that. Then get into the beta, alpha, theta. So you're a little bit sleepy. Maybe you're starting to see images. Then get into the beta, alpha, theta, delta, where it's really slow. Remember I told you, imagine somebody sneaking up behind you. That feeling, that very slow instinct. And now we're assimilating the subconscious, aren't we? We're integrating with it and we're staying awake. We have to keep the sense of self, the conscious mind, there to experience the meditation. Make sure that you're getting enough sleep before you meditate. So some people have strange ideas about sleep, that they want to get rid of sleep. That may happen in a yogic life. It may reduce because you're so peaceful all the time. But in the beginning, you have to have plenty of sleep so that when you step into meditation, you don't hit these slower brain waves, alpha, theta, delta, and go, you don't want that, right? So you want to be aware, and so you have to get enough sleep. And so whenever I feel myself, oh, I'm nodding, okay, I need sleep. And so I'll take a cat nap in order to recover myself. And then I can come back to meditation refreshed and okay and ready. And now my beta brainwave is awake and I can actually keep myself in the meditation. So stone samadhi, there you go. It's a real thing. We postulate that it all arose because the yogi shied away from his own subconscious material and might have had this idea of killing the ego. Well, that would mean that your beta brainwave would need to wink out, and that is incorrect. You want the beta brainwave there in the beginning. It has to be part of the initial experience. So in stone samadhi, you're getting all of the physical benefits as you would in a very, very deep sleep, and yet you're missing out on all of the psychological and transformative personality transformations that are possible through the samadhi. So you're missing out on all of that. So you want to keep that beta brainwave awake. I hope that this was absolutely fascinating. I bet you never heard the term stone samadhi before. I've talked to many yogis, they've never heard this term before. And it's an absolute thing. I have met yogis that have fallen into this, and then they have to slowly work themselves back into the beta brainwave, kind of reformat their entire meditation, and slowly walk themselves out of this trap. But now you know about it beforehand, and you know the importance of integration and letting the subconscious material show up and being, okay, whatever, that's part of me too. That's part of my story. And it's going to be a beautiful story because I'm going to reach that end goal. I'm going to conquer. And that's what makes the story glorious, is that I had all this stuff and yet I still did it. I still made my way home. That's the glory of all of the stories of saints and great yogis. I hope you loved this. If you did, be sure to hit that bell down below so I can see all of you next time.